I was sunning things at home when someone suddenly arrived from the capital, saying the general's wife was gravely ill. Before she died, she wanted to see her best friend one last time. When I rushed there, I found my best friend lying on the sickbed, barely breathing. Her husband had not come to see her even once. Only the favored concubine came every day to show off. What a pitiful thing you are, elder sister. You pretended to be sick so many times that now you've really gotten your just deserts. My best friend grabbed my hand, her voice dry and hoarse. Afu, I'm going to die soon. I've left something for you. You have to. I don't want it. I cut her off, casually picked up a golden hairpin, and stabbed it into the concubine's throat. I came here to stand up for you. Gold was too soft, not as sturdy as silver. The strike landed off-center, only cutting through her skin. I thought to myself, what a pity. The concubine already screamed shrilly, elder sister, you've gone mad. Do you think bringing some wild girl here lets you run wild in this residence? Wait till the general comes back, he'll make you regret it. She screamed and hopped away, covering her neck, like a wounded, crazed pheasant. I was about to chase after her to finish the job, when Yun Xiao stopped me urgently. Don't, Afu. She stood up to block me, nearly falling off the bed. She speaks harshly, but she doesn't deserve death. I turned back to support her and said calmly, I heard everything on the way here. Your third child died at her hands. A life for a life. It's only fair. When Yun Xiao smiled bitterly, it's not that simple. If you really want to blame someone, Xie Yang is more at fault. Xie Yang was her husband. He had risen to the second rank through military achievements and was about to be granted a title. He was the most talked about man in the capital right now. I thought for a moment, killing them both would be difficult, but I'll try my best. When Yun Xiao couldn't help laughing a little, I know you want to vent your anger for me, but I don't have much time left. Don't waste your time on her. Xie Yang may have fallen for someone else, but over the years, I've saved quite a bit thanks to his status. Besides the dowry for our daughter, I still have 2 shops, 10 mu of good farmland, and several hundred taels of silver. Afu, I'm leaving it all to you. Live well. Her body was already extremely weak. Every sentence was followed by a violent coughing fit. By the last few words, she could barely breathe. Blood from her cough splashed onto the hem of my clothes. It was blindingly bright. I fell silent for a moment, wiping the blood from her lips. I don't want your things, Afu. When Yun Xiao stared at me blankly, are you still angry with me? Do you think my things are dirty? I shook my head. When Yun Xiao, I came to the capital today to stand up for you. I lived in the south of the Yangtze, 1,000 li away from the capital. When the old nurse sent by when Yun Xiao found me, I was sunning a set of wolf bones in the yard. The white-haired old nurse narrowed her eyes and looked me over again and again. Are you Miss Afu? I turned around, slipped a dagger into the sheath tied to my thigh, and took the letter from her hand. When Yun Xiao knew I didn't read many words, so the letter was very short. Afu, I'm dying. Come to the capital to see me one last time. Okay, I fell into thought. Had when Yun Xiao forgotten that we had already broken off all ties when she left the south? The old nurse had no idea what I was thinking. She only said, Madam is very ill. Medicine can no longer help her. Besides the 2-year-old young lady, the person she misses most is you. I scoffed softly. Lies. What about Xie Yang, the one she used to think of day and night? Why doesn't she miss him? Master Xie is now General Nanan. He has many concubines and maids. He hasn't visited Madam's chambers in a long time. The old nurse wiped her tears as she spoke. Last year, Madam was pregnant again, but the general brought a young woman back from outside, saying she was his true love in this life. He called Madam a vicious snake and scorpion. Madam was enraged. Then pushed by the favored concubine, she lost the baby that same night. I had been about to turn back and continue tidying my wolf bones, but I stopped at her words. A pair of birds perched on the wall, chirping. I suddenly thought of when we were very young, when Yun Xiao and I were both orphans raised in a charity hall. She was kind and talkative, chattering to me non-stop every day. I never knew where she got so many things to say. When she saw I was getting annoyed, she would quickly hug my arm. Afu, you're the best. You're my best friend. Everyone else thinks I talk too much. But I know in your eyes, I'm always quiet and elegant. Right, I gave in. Let her talk, it wouldn't get in the way of my real business anyway. But the old nurse went on. After Madam lost the baby, she fell seriously ill. After she recovered, she would just sit by the window, barely speaking except to play with the young lady. The general thought she was dull and unlucky, so he refused to visit even more. The two birds snuggled up affectionately. The smaller one fed grains to the other, just like when we were little, when Yun Xiao, always hungry, giving me her share of food. I thought I had to go to the capital. When Yun Xiao had really changed, she spoke less than a tenth of what she used to. She had become gentle and quiet. I sharpened my knife beside her, and she only smiled and ordered someone to bring out her daughter for me to see. When Yun Xiao's daughter was named Xie Shu, she was fair and lovely, a tiny little thing. She had just learned to talk. After being carried in, she stumbled over to her mother and bowed clumsily. Daughter greets mother. I watched coldly. Love poured out of Wen Yunxiao's eyes like mist. She lifted Xie Shu with some effort and called me over. This is Aunt Afu. Say hello to her. When mother is gone, you must listen to her. Okay. Xie Shu called me in a sweet voice. Aunt Afu. Wen Yunxiao smiled softly. Go on. Let Aunt Afu hold you. I frowned and stepped back 2 paces. Stay away from me. I hate children. Besides, she was Xie Yang's daughter too. Xie Shu was frightened by the coldness in my eyes, and stood there dumbly. She looked just like Wen Yunxiao when she was stunned. I thought, when Yunxiao didn't push it. She smiled bitterly, about to say something. The door was suddenly kicked open with tremendous force. Bitter wind mixed with snowflakes drifted in, along with an enraged male voice. Wen Yunxiao, you vicious woman. Xie Shu turned pale with fear, and hid behind me instinctively. The cold wind blew, and Wen Yunxiao started coughing again. The man's boots creaked on the floor, but he ignored her increasingly violent coughing. His voice was thick with mockery, pretending to be pitiful again. Wen Yunxiao, every time you hurt someone you fake illness. How many times are you going to pull this trick? He walked up to Wen Yunxiao, covered in cold air, and was about to pinch her chin when his expression suddenly changed. In the next moment, a thin, sharp knife flew past, slicing off half his fingertip, exposing white bone. Xie Yang clamped his wound and spun around sharply. Who's there? Stay away from Wen Yunxiao. I stood up. Can't you hear her coughing? Xie Yang stared at my face and suddenly fell silent, frowning. I snorted coldly. If I'd known this would happen, I would have killed you right away. Understand this, if Wen Yunxiao hadn't begged for you, the grass on your grave would be several feet high by now. Xie Yang's face changed drastically. Jiang Fu, 7 years ago, when Yunxiao and I were both 15, descendants of the deposed crown prince had raised a rebel army and declared themselves kings in Yunju, south of the Yangtze. The capital sent troops to suppress them, but a small vanguard was defeated at the foot of the mountain because they didn't know the terrain. When Yunxiao happened to be gathering herbs nearby and saved the seriously wounded Xie Yang, the two fell in love naturally. Back then, he was only a lowly centurion. Holding Wen Yunxiao's hand, he promised, Qiao Qiao, I'll be good to you for the rest of my life. When Yunxiao believed him, I didn't. This man's eyes were full of ambition. He would never be content with being ordinary. Even if Wen Yunxiao wanted to marry, she couldn't choose this man. I went to persuade her. His brows are high, his lips thin, too much white in his eyes. He's the kind who's cold and ungrateful. When Yunxiao laughed, Afu, you can read faces now. She took my hand, shaking and coquettish. Afu, you don't understand. He's really, really good to me. As soon as his wounds got better, he got out of bed to help me work. So I wouldn't have to take care of him, I said expressionlessly. That wasn't your work to begin with. When Yun Xiao was left speechless, she showed me the new silver hairpin in her hair. Look. He bought this for me after chopping firewood for others. The silver hairpin was flimsy, worth no more than one tael, less than the cost of his medicine for 3 days. But when Yun Xiao had already fallen head over heels in love, she wouldn't listen to anything. I thought for a moment and decided to solve the problem at the root. Kill Xie Yang directly, and there would be nothing after that. Unfortunately, I messed up the timing. I had just stabbed him halfway when Yun Xiao came back. Her eyes turned red. Afu, why do you have to pick on Xie Yang? I didn't want to explain. I pulled out the dagger to stab again, but she rushed over and stood in front of him. Xie Yang coughed up blood and said haltingly, I know why, she's colluding with the rebels. Look at her dagger, the plum blossom carved on it stands for the deposed crown prince. When Yun Xiao burst into tears, Afu, I know you're strong in martial arts, I can't stop you. If you really have to kill Xielang, kill me first. What a pair of star-crossed lovers. I looked at Yun Xiao. For the first time, she felt like a stranger. So I said, if one of me and him has to die today, what will you choose? When Yun Xiao bit her lip and said nothing, still shielding Xie Yang, the answer was clear. I nodded and sheathed my dagger. Fine, I'll spare him today. And I'll spare you too. Yun Xiao, from now on, your life or death has nothing to do with me. Memories rushed back. I looked at Xie Yang in front of me. Since you remember now, how do you want to die? Xie Yang sneered. Jiang Fu, when you colluded with the rebels to kill me, you never thought I'd reach this position. Did you? I've been searching for you for a long time. I never thought you'd deliver yourself to my door today, at dawn. I'll go to the palace to beg for an imperial edict. I'll have His Majesty sentence you for your crimes. I held my sword and mocked him. You actually have to run to the palace to complain and let others stand up for you. Yun Xiao, is this the useless man you picked so carefully? Xie Yang flew into a rage. He had been in a high position for too long and hadn't heard such insulting words in ages, but I had a sword in my hand, so he didn't dare clash with me directly. He could only turn his anger on Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao, Yang was right. You orphan girls with no parents are the most scheming. You married me only for the title of general's wife. All these years you've hoarded private wealth using my name. I ignored it out of marital kindness. Yet today you bring the villain who tried to kill me into this residence. I bet the time she tried to kill me and you shielded me, that was all an act between you two. Wasn't it? The atmosphere fell completely silent. A flicker of regret crossed Xie Yang's face, but he still kept a cold expression and stared at Yun Xiao, waiting for her to do as she always had, to panic, to explain, to apologize, to yield. For 7 years, that was how things had been between them. She had taken the first step back for him. After that, every step back was taken for granted. But when Yun Xiao did not look at him, she only stared at me, fixed and unblinking. The faint, wavering spark in her eyes seemed to die out entirely. After a moment, a tear of blood trickled from the corner of her eye. She looked as if her life was draining away. Her voice hoarse and almost shrill as she called me, Afu, Afu. I was wrong. I chose wrong. At first, things between her and Xie Yang had not been like this. Right after they married, they had a sweet, clinging period. Xie Yang was grateful that she had broken off with her closest friend to protect him, and he treated her extremely well. He held her hand and swore to the heavens, I, Xie Yang, will never betray Yun Xiao in this life. If I break this vow, heaven and earth will punish me. Before he finished speaking, thunder crashed outside. Yun Xiao hurried to cover his mouth. Don't swear nonsense. I trust you. I believe whatever you say. But the good times didn't last. In their 3rd year of marriage, the late emperor passed away and a new emperor ascended the throne. power shifted in the court, and many former officials were dismissed. Xie Yang was promoted for his military achievements. He took Wen Yunqiao back to the capital. She was an orphan, unfamiliar with the rules of noble households, and naturally lively by nature. At ladies' gatherings, she would chat whenever someone spoke to her, but few were as patient as Jiang Fu. Xie Yang's rank was not yet high enough to command respect. When she talked too much, people would drift away. Wen Yunqiao felt very lonely. Just then, a woman came along who was willing to listen to her all the time. Wen Yunqiao spent every day with her. Only when Xie Yang was punished by the emperor for improper conduct, his salary suspended for half a year and he was confined at home, did she learn that the woman was the wife of Xie Yang's political enemy. When he returned home, Xie Yang looked at her in disappointment. How could you be this stupid? You can't be as virtuous and proper as other men's wives. Yet you keep dragging me down. As time passed, he grew more and more disgusted with her. He disliked her low birth, that her family could give him no help. He disliked her common air, that she couldn't keep him company with elegance, instead thinking only of earning silver. He disliked that she kept bringing up the old favor of saving his life whenever they argued. If it weren't for me, you would have died under the rebels' blades. Xie Yang sneered. If I'd known you'd hold this favor over me, I'd rather have died back then. When Yunqiao froze in place, tears falling in disbelief, annoyed by her crying, Xie Yang turned and left. He went to relax on a painted boat. A close colleague gave him a young girl. She had a soft waist, a sweet voice, acted humble and gentle in front of him, and even recited romantic poems. Xie Yang drowned himself in this gentle haven and only returned home days later. When Yunqiao was waiting for him at the gate, one hand resting on her waist. They spoke at the same time. Xie Yang, I'm pregnant, I'm taking a concubine. Wind swept dead leaves past them. When Yunqiao's smile froze on her lips, she acted as if she hadn't heard, and asked again, what did you say? Xie Yang's face turned cold. It's perfect that you're pregnant and can't serve me. A colleague gave me a pleasing girl. I'm taking her as my secondary wife. When Yunqiao shrilled, I won't allow it. He sneered, I am a general. I don't need your permission to take a concubine. Seeing her stunned, he felt a flicker of pity, and soothed her. Don't worry, it's only a concubine. You are my legal wife. No one will rank above you. I believed him again. When Yunqiao laughed hoarsely, Afu, I'm so stupid. Later, more and more women came into the mansion, including the daughter of a disgraced official named Song Yang. He even spent his military rewards to free her from slavery. Fearing she would be wronged as a concubine, he wanted to marry her as his equal wife. I was angry. I fought with him. I even pretended to be sick to beg for his mercy. None of it worked. When Yunqiao gripped my hand tightly and chatted about the past all night, Xie Yang did not stay in the room. He had been frightened by that single tear of blood from Wen Yunqiao. He left a line saying I'll fetch a doctor and fled in near panic. He never did bring a doctor. The maid by Wen Yunqiao's side went to check and said he had spent the night in Miss Song Yang's chambers and had asked for hot water twice. Here, the sky gradually lightened. Xie Shu slept soundly on the couch in the warm inner room. Outside, snowflakes beat endlessly against the window frame. When Yunqiao suddenly smiled helplessly, I talked too much again. You must be annoyed with me, right? No, I answered sincerely. No one had spoken to me like this in 7 years. Truth be told, I had missed her terribly. She stared deep into my eyes. I want to ask, but I dare not. Afu, have you been well these years? Do you have someone you love? Someone I love, I thought. If it meant what Wen Yunqiao felt for Xie Yang, then no, but there had been a man who wanted to marry me. I refused, and he left. It didn't matter. So I only said, I've been fine, rest, I'll go get you a doctor. She had been pregnant 3 times in 7 years and only given birth to Xie Shu once. Her body was completely broken. as if sensing she was about to die. When Yunxiao suddenly sat up and gripped my hand tightly. "Afu, promise me, don't fight Xie Yang. At dawn, take what I left you and leave the capital with Oshu. If you're out of sight, he'll spare you for the daughter's sake. Afu, I beg you, you must live well," I said. "All right, I promise you." She lay back contentedly and closed her eyes, but I did not keep my word. I told the maid to go for the doctor, then turned and picked up my sword. The time for hunting had come. Snow had fallen all night. The snow outside reached halfway up people's calves. I walked quickly through the snow. The south had never seen snow like this, cold enough to seep into the bones. The sky was black, endless. When Yunxiao had always loved liveliness, how had she endured these cold, lonely days in the capital all these years? Just thinking about it set a fire burning in my chest. I first found the residence of the secondary wife, Fang. She was the first concubine Xie Yang had brought back from the painted boat. The wound on her neck had been bandaged, but my cut had been deep. She was in too much pain to sleep, tossing and turning in bed, cursing when Yunxiao non-stop, just an orphan with no parents, daring to act wild in front of me. Her maid echoed her, who in this mansion still thinks of her as the real wife. "The general dotes on you most now, madam." Madam Fang looked triumphant. "Right, who still takes her seriously? The general told me himself if when Yunxiao hadn't saved him back then, he would have divorced her long ago. After 7 years of marriage, she only gave him a useless daughter. Now she coughs and bleeds at every turn. It's so unlucky just to hear it." She stroked her belly. "The doctor said this child is almost certainly a boy. He'll be the general's eldest son. When Yunxiao dies, I'll tell the general to move into her courtyard. And as for Xieshu, sooner or later, I'll make her." She happily dreamed of her future before she could finish. I kicked the door open. The two in front of the soft couch saw me and screamed in terror. "How is it you? Guards! Guards! Help! Stop yelling. I knocked them all out. If you miss them that much, I'll kill a couple to keep you company on your way." I knocked the maid unconscious with the sheath of my sword, lifted one leg, and stepped on the edge of the couch, staring at Madame Fang. She trembled all over, fear carved into her bones. "Am I Miss Jiang? Think carefully. If you kill me, the general will never let you go." I nodded. "Don't worry, he'll be here soon enough." Madame Fang's face turned ashen. She finally realized no one could save her. She trembled to her knees on the couch and began kowtowing to me, begging for her life. "I'm already with child. Miss Jiang, you're a woman too. Please have mercy on the baby." When Yunxiao is also a woman, she was also with child. I curled my lip. "Last spring, was it you who made her miscarry?" She trembled even harder. With no way to deny it, she only cried. "I was blinded by greed then. I really know I was wrong. These people were so strange. When begging for mercy, they said every pitiful thing in the world. They showed no mercy when bullying Yunxiao, knowing she was gentle. When Yunxiao was kind, she only blamed Xie Yang, not others. But I had no such patience. The old nurse told me that secondary wife Fang was sharp-tongued and favored, always saying the cruelest things to hurt Yunxiao. Her illness was not only physical collapse, grief had trapped her heart. Seeing I didn't strike at once, secondary wife Fang thought she saw hope. "Miss Jiang, I'll apologize to madam. I'll kneel at her door until she forgives me. Will that do?" "No." I shook my head. "I don't think she wants to see you." I found paper, ink, and brush, and made her kneel on the couch to write a confession to Yunxiao. When she finished the last character, she looked up, staring at me hopefully. "Miss Jiang, now that I've written this, will you let me go?" My sword was her answer. It pierced her chest. "No, but you can die quickly." Her eyes widened, staring at me in disbelief. A moment later, venom burst from her gaze. She opened her mouth, coughing up blood as she spoke haltingly. "What if you kill me, when Yunxiao is going to die anyway?" "Ha ha ha, Jiang Fu, no matter how strong you are, can you take her back from the king of hell? I won't be lonely on the road to the underworld when Yun Xiao will be with me. I didn't want to hear this. I neatly cut off her tongue, then quickly snatched the confession letter, before it could be stained with blood. Even so, a strange feeling filled my chest. I slowly raised my hand and wiped the corner of my eye. I felt a scalding tear. When I was little, a fortune teller said I was born missing a part of my soul, so I lacked emotion, but I could focus completely on what I did, making everything easier. That was why I learned martial arts so fast. By 13, my sword drew blood every time it struck. No one dared to trouble Wen Yunxiao and me for being orphans. It should have been a good thing. But Wen Yunxiao always held me and cried, "Afu, you'll miss out on so much this way." I didn't understand. What? Feelings? The most beautiful things between people are feelings, friendship, family, love. I hope you can experience them all. As she spoke, she mentioned Xieyang again. Like me and Xieyang, just thinking about him makes me happy. Gathering herbs on the mountain doesn't feel tiring. Every time I see him, I feel so blessed. I hated hearing her talk about him. I picked up my knife and left, when Yun Xiao called after me unhappily. "Where are you going again? You've been going to the mountains so much this year. Did you make a new friend?" No, I didn't look back. I wasn't lying. Whatever I had with that man was nothing like friendship. He'd seen how skilled I was and paid me a high price to protect him. His name was Li Chonghuan. He claimed to be the son of the deposed crown prince. I didn't care who his father was. I only listened when he said, "Afu, please keep this employment between us. Don't tell anyone." I shook my head. "No, I have a friend. I tell her everything." He smiled gently. "I understand, but I'm doing this for your friend too. My plan is extremely dangerous. If it leaks, she'll be safer knowing nothing. Besides, secrets keep plans alive. More people mean more risk." He was beautiful, and his smile was dazzling. It made my head spin for a moment. When I came to my senses, it sounded reasonable. When Yun Xiao was too innocent, not knowing would be better for her, so I agreed. Li Chonghuan smiled at me again. "Afu, you're so kind." I frowned. "Are you unwell? Why do you ask? Your voice wasn't like this when we first met." He stiffened. "The weather's been cold lately. My throat is uncomfortable. Is Afu worried about me?" He smiled again. I was confused. When we first met, Li Chonghuan had always worn a cold face. His eyes colder than anyone's. He tried to kill me, but his guards were all slaughtered by me. When my sword pressed against his neck, he still stayed calm. "There's a traitor beside me. I could never find out who. Thank you for helping me, miss." I narrowed my eyes. "Aren't you afraid of death? If you kill me today, I doubt you'll live either." He spoke calmly. "I have a better idea. I have no one to protect me now. I'll pay you 1,000 taels to guard me for 6 months. After that, another rich reward." I agreed. When Yun Xiao was at the age of loving pretty things, she wanted so many dresses and hair ornaments, but she couldn't afford any with the money from gathering herbs. 1,000 taels would buy her everything she liked. Later, Li Chonghuan asked why my martial arts were so strong at such a young age. "The sword you use looks just like the one used by Lin Wushuang, the legendary swordsman who retired years ago." I nodded. "He was my master. He's passed away." Li Chonghuan was surprised. "He swore never to take a disciple." Yes, he hadn't planned to take me at first. It was when Yun Xiao, she saw I loved martial arts and pestered Lin Wushuang every day, charming the old man until he finally agreed to teach me his secret sword skills. The one he really wanted to teach wasn't me, it was Wen Yun Xiao, but she had no interest in such things. When asked again and again, she just smiled sweetly. "Then teach Afu well. When she becomes the strongest under heaven, she can protect me better. Afu and I are going to be together forever." But forever was so short. I dragged secondary wife Fang's body and found Xieyang in Songyang's chambers. The room reeked of a disgusting stench. The two were half-dressed, sleeping in each other's arms. I took out a dagger and nailed Xie Yang's palm to the couch. He screamed awake. When he saw Fang's messy corpse, he screamed even louder, his voice full of rage. You dare kill someone in my residence? Jiang Fu, are you mad? What's the rush? I said, you're next. Song Yang also woke up. When she saw what was happening, she trembled and cried, trying to hide behind Xie Yang. I'd heard all about her before coming. Her father had been vice prime minister before his conviction. She thought herself well-read and looked down on Wen Yunxiao, always acting superior, mocking and belittling her to her face. Why are you screaming? One sight of blood and you lose your mind. Are you useless? Xie Yang truly thought of her as his true love and defended her at once. Yang is a noble lady. It's normal for her to fear blood, not like you wild mountain girls. He stopped mid-sentence. As if realizing, I was not Wen Yunxiao, I was Jiang Fu, who could kill him at any moment. I smiled. Xie Yang, don't you find it disgusting to say things like that? When you were lying covered in blood at the foot of the mountain, if Wen Yunxiao had been as useless as this waste in your arms, you'd be dead already. He flew into a rage. She saved me once. How many times must you bring it up? If she didn't keep holding the favor over me, our affection wouldn't have run out so soon. How ridiculous. Wen Yunxiao, you loved him with all your heart, and in the end, he only called it affection. Fine, I won't mention it. Then give your life back to Wen Yunxiao. I pulled out another dagger and threw it between them. Both turned pale, staring at Fang's body on the floor. They finally realized I was serious. Song Yang cried pitifully, General, save me. He can't beat me. I said calmly, how about a game? Only one of you two lives. Choose before dawn. 7 years ago. When Yunxiao had made that choice, she had been deeply in love with Xie Yang then, but she could never bring herself to kill me, so she had resolved to die herself. Xie Yang deserved to feel that pain too. Unfortunately, I overestimated him. Hearing only one could live, Xie Yang's face changed drastically. He snatched the dagger and killed Song Yang on the spot. Song Yang never understood what was happening. When the blade pierced her throat, she was still trying to curl into his arms. After killing her, Xie Yang looked at me, his face dark, grinding his teeth. Now you and Wen Yunxiao are satisfied, aren't you? She kept targeting Yang, faking illness, framing her, even threatening miscarriage. She sent you here just to make me stay only with her. Now Fang and Yang are dead. I only have her. She can rest easy now. He spoke unwillingly, his voice full of loathing. I found it so absurd that I laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. Xie Yang, you actually think Wen Yunxiao still cares about you? What makes you so special? She chose you 7 years ago, and I broke off with her forever. Why do you think I came to the capital? I grabbed his neck and slapped him hard. Wen Yunxiao is dying. I came to make you all die with her. I held nothing back in that slap. Xie Yang's cheek swelled, blood seeping from his lips. He turned his head and spat out a tooth, but acted as if he felt nothing, only staring at me fiercely, his voice shaking. What are you saying? She can't die. Yang said she was faking it. Who dies just from 2 miscarriages? She was just upset I loved someone else, faking illness to win me back. She's done it before. I slapped him twice more. So you do know you betrayed her? I sneered. You swore you would never wrong Wen Yunxiao in this life. If you broke your vow, heaven and earth would kill you. If heaven won't do it, I will. With that, I raised my blade and struck. I castrated him. Amid the splashing blood, Xie Yang wailed bitterly. Wen Yunxiao was right. Her ending today was all Xie Yang's fault. I didn't plan to kill him quickly. I wanted to torture him properly before sending him to his death. Unfortunately, dawn came. The capital's imperial guards surrounded the general's mansion. Xie Yang and I were both taken to the palace. Xie Yang had become a eunuch, sweating in agony, unable to walk. He was carried into the imperial study. The light suddenly softened. Amid the faint scent of dragon amber, I saw Li Chonghuan again. So the bold plan he'd had back then had succeeded.
I'll marry you and make you a noble consort. How about it? Not interested. Then make you empress. Still not interested. I sheathed my sword and added, not interested in noble consort, not interested in empress. And I'm not interested in you either. Our time is up. Give me the money. I'm going home. Li Chonghuan fell silent for a long time. The air grew stiff. I quietly gripped my sword, but in the end, he breathed out softly and smiled. All right, guards, take Miss Jiang down and give her 3,000 taels. Afu, we leave for the capital tonight. If you change your mind later, you can come to the capital anytime. My promise stands forever. I didn't answer. I took the money and left. Long after I'd gone, I could hear Li Chonghuan's close aide whispering to him, Your Highness, our plan is to replace the royal bloodline. She knows everything. Such a dangerous person if she won't serve us. Why not? Li Chonghuan sneered. Which of you can kill her? Complete silence. He sighed softly again. Besides, my feelings for her are real. I didn't catch the rest. I only thought Li Chonghuan had self-awareness. Those men around him couldn't beat me even together. I took the money back. But when Yun Xiao was already gone from the south, I had no use for it. So I donated it all to the charity hall. Time passed like dew. 6 years slipped by in a blink. Afu. I've waited for you in the palace for 6 years, and you never came. I never imagined you'd finally come to the capital for Xieyang. Honestly, I'm rather jealous. I was confused. I came to kill him. Are you jealous of that? He stared straight at me. After a long while, he sighed. Fine, I admit defeat. But Afu, you killed people openly in the capital. Have you thought if I didn't care for old feelings and insisted on punishing you, what would you do? I thought Li Chonghuan was being ungrateful. Xieyang hasn't been to the border in ages. You gave him a title and kept him in the capital to weaken his military power, didn't you? I castrated him for you. I solved your major hidden trouble and kept him from digging into the old rebel case. And you want to punish me? Is this how you repay kindness? Li Chonghuan fell silent again. I was certain. Just like 6 years ago, for a moment he wanted to kill me, but he held back in the end. He knew full well that if it came to that, I would take him with me before I left. So Li Chonghuan finally said, Afu, will you stay in the palace for me? He said he'd thought of me every day these 6 years, and the throne of Empress had been empty all along. If you become Empress, I will favor only the central palace. I will never wrong you. I pointed to the blood-stained confession on the floor. Someone else once promised to never betray me in this life. Times change. Who can be sure of such things? Li Chonghuan sighed. You never leave any room. Very well. As soon as I knew you were in the capital, I ordered the imperial physicians to the general's mansion to treat your friend. When she's better, take her back to the south. I froze. The thought that Wen Yunxiao might live overwhelmed me with pure joy. In the end, under Li Chonghuan's thoughtful gaze, I felt moisture at the corner of my eye. Afu, once you leave this time, never return to the capital. He looked at me deeply. Otherwise, I cannot promise I will still spare your life if you reject me a third time. It was spring. When flowers bloomed, I drove the carriage, carrying the newly recovered Wen Yunxiao and 3-year-old Wen Shu back to the south. Before leaving, Wen Yunxiao sold all her property in the capital. She stuffed a thick stack of silver notes into my hand. She said, Afu, it's all yours. Wen Shu copied her, saying in a milky voice, Aunt Afu, it's all yours. She broke her snack into 3 pieces and gave us each one. As I ate, I saw Li Chonghuan watching me from under the hibiscus tree near the city gate. I jumped down from the carriage, walked over, broke off a hibiscus branch, and handed it to him. I remember you like plum blossoms. But it's spring-only hibiscus. Li Chonghuan sniffed it. No, I've liked hibiscus for 6 years. Afu, you never do anything without reason. Speak, what do you want me to do? I leaned closer. I won't let Xieyang live. You want me to kill him for you? No, I already killed him, Li Chonghuan. Just don't look into it, I said. Also, Li Chonghuan, I might kind of like you too, but I won't stay in the capital. If you ever change your mind, you can come find me in the south. I knew Li Chonghuan would never come, just as he knew I would never stay in the capital. The faint feelings between us weren't enough for either of us to back down, so I turned back, took the reins, and took my only best friend in this life, riding toward the lush spring of the south.